Hello Stud-Scribers, Red Suit Studs here. I recently got a comment on one of my videos asking me how I got rid of dust on my LEGO sets. So today I'm going to show you the quickest and cheapest way that I know how to get rid of dust off of your LEGO sets. So without further ado, let's get started. So in all my years of LEGO collecting, between using feather dusters and dust rags, I never really found the perfect tool to get rid of dust until recently, because with stuff like feather dusters and rags, they're a little too rough on the sets themselves, so you might break pieces off. But when you have something smaller, like these makeup brushes, they get in between the cracks nice and easily, and they don't damage the sets. And what's great is you could use a bigger size like this on some tiled pieces and bigger sets. That way you don't need to get in between some cracks and crevices. You can just get a big surface area taken care of. Or you could have smaller ones that you can get in between the studs nice and tightly. Or you could have angled ones as well if you need to really contour the shape of a different ship or building specifically, just to get some of the harder to get dust out. So now I'll demonstrate to you guys exactly how I get my sets dusted. So the first couple sets that I'm going to demonstrate the makeup brushes on are these diorama sets. You can usually tell pretty bad with these diorama sets how much dust they collect. You can see on the corner here along the black tiling and some of the green tiles here, it collects pretty bad on these, but I think that's just the nature of black Lego bricks in general, especially the flat ones. Since there aren't really any grooves for them to fit into, they just kind of all, the dust kind of settles all on top. So I just kind of start off with the big brush just to kind of get the bulk of it, especially on these black tiled areas here. And then later I'll go in with one of the smaller ones to kind of get more in there with some of the studded tiling there, and as well as some of the creases and studs in Yoda's hut here. So I like to go at it with this angled one just to really get in the crevices there, because the bigger brush doesn't really get everything. It gets kind of the broad first layer of dust, but then you can kind of go in with the thinner and more like jagged or slanted makeup brush here, just to kind of get more in some of those little tiny creases and in between the studs there as well. So same goes here for the Death Star diorama. We have that first layer of dust kind of on the black tiling here. You can see it coming off there. And then I'm going to go in and just do a couple sweeps through here in these kind of deeper areas of the set. And then I'm also going to do another once over with a smaller brush too. Since it's pretty cramped in here, I'm just going to use the smaller brush with the slant just to get some of those smaller spots in there that you're not really going to be able to get with the bigger brush. And then also, I think I'm going to go along the walls here too, because some of those flat tiles get dust pretty bad. So I'm going to start at the top here and then just kind of do a little dusting here on the sides as well. And you can kind of see with my light here all the dust coming off, so it's working just fine. And then I also just like to give a quick blow of air on the set once I get it all dusted, just to kind of loosen up anything that's left over or anything that kind of fell back onto the set. And even though I said I don't really like to use dust rags for my sets in general, I will do a quick dusting of the display shelf with it. That way none of the dust on here transfers over to the set itself, and we just kind of eliminate as much dust as possible here, both on the set and with where I'm actually displaying it. Another set that I need to keep a close eye on for dust is my Republic Venator Cruiser. This set came out in about 2009, so it's pretty old. You can see I got a lot of dust buildup in between the studs here. It's actually not too bad right now, but it gets pretty bad if I don't keep an eye on it. And around the stickers too, you always want to be careful, because if you get dust built up along the sides here around the sticker, then it can start to peel and get a little gross. So it's always good to keep an eye on the stickers around there too. So I always just do some quick dusting around the middle here, and just a little bit of I kind of press the brush into the plates here with the studs. That way the bristles kind of have a chance to get in between the studs, and you can see again all the dust flying off there. So yeah, I always try to get in between the studs on these plates here, because otherwise it also just kind of ages the bricks and makes them a little bit more brittle the more they kind of sit like that. So it's always good to get the dust out of those studs there, and like I said, around the sticker too. Something to look out for sure is also any sets that have black bricks. Also white, but black makes it just really apparent. You can see here this Kylo Ren shuttle here. It's pretty bad when it comes to dust, which, to be honest, it's probably not much worse than any of the other sets I have right now, but since it's black, it's just so much more noticeable with the dust. So I always make sure to give this one a good once over every time I'm dusting, because the top, it just gets really dusty, and there's a lot of studs on the top of this one, so it really kind of gets in there. So you got to be really good and thorough with this set here. And in addition to that middle body part, this set has some really big wings with, you can see, just a ton of studs. So dust is kind of a nightmare on these wings here. So I always make sure to do these as well in addition to the body, because if dust gets stuck into here, it's going to get real bad over time because there's just so many studs on these wings here. I also want to give an honorable mention, if that's what you can call it, to the Darth Vader meditation chamber. I feel like this one's pretty notorious in the LEGO community for dust. You can see here it's actually pretty clean right now. I just dusted it a couple days ago because I was using it for a different video, so I made it nice and tidy. But if you let this one sit for too long, it gets really bad because there's a lot of black in this set, and also it's a lot of flat tiles. And then kind of the crevices on the top here with the studs on the little closing mechanism for the chamber gets pretty bad. So this is another set that you kind of want to watch out for, mostly because of those black colored bricks. So of course another big offender of dust is the UCS Millennium Falcon. Pretty much any big UCS set is going to have a lot of dust. So you can kind of see here on some of the flat tiles, and also in all the nooks and crannies of the studs here, these grate pieces are pretty bad too. You can see a lot of dust gets built up here, and I usually dust this one every few weeks because there's just a lot of surface area on this one, so it can get pretty dusty pretty quick. And of course we can't forget about the nameplate with all the information here. Since it's a black piece, it gets pretty dusty here, especially along the edges and on the front face here. So we're going to dust this one up too, just to make sure it's all clean. And I usually just use the big brush here because it can get all the dust necessary here with kind of these big plates here. And then if I miss anything with the big one here, I can go in later with some of the smaller brushes just to get some of those finer details, because with the Millennium Falcon there is a lot of details on the top here because there's just so many small little pieces that dust can really get collected pretty easily in some of those small spaces. So if I do ever miss anything with this big brush, which it does get a pretty good once over on here, I'll just go in again with one of the smaller ones. Another UCS ship, the new Razor Crest, it also can get pretty bad dust, but not as bad as the Falcon because there's a lot more flat tiling done on the top here. But you can still see that close up here, we still get a little bit of dust buildup. Not as bad as the Falcon because it's, like I said, mostly flat tiles, so it's pretty easy to just kind of wipe away here and there isn't too much of a problem with it. But just to be safe, it's always good to do this one every couple weeks or so, because even though it's flat tiles and there's not much that it can get stuck into here, there is a decent amount of stickers on the side, so always dusting the side there too is good, because like I said with the Falcon, you don't want to get dust stuck in your stickers there. You can see here we get a little bit of dust build up on the engines here too, but once again that's just because it's these flat tiles, so it lays nice and flat on here, but it's really easy to get off, unlike some of the studded areas. But the flat areas are really easy to get that dust, that top layer of dust off really easily. So that's how I like to prevent dust on my LEGO sets. Let me know in the comments if you have any other methods. I use these simple Estee Lauder makeup brushes, and you can find a lot of other cheap ones that come in 10 packs with a bunch of different shapes and sizes to make sure you get in all the crevices of your LEGO sets. So with all that being said, don't forget to Stud-Scribe, and thanks for watching.